We've called this session Media Monopoly. Basically, we've all played Monopoly, but I don't know whether we've all played Media Monopoly. And we wanted to inject a little bit of interest into a quite dry topic that centres on the returns we get from our marketing investment. We're going to start our session in 1935, a momentous year in media. Germany began TV programming with 180-line resolution screens. The BBC chose electronic television over mechanical television after a 6-month trial. In the age of the internet, the iPhone and Android everything, the first telephone call was made around the world in 1935. In America, Howard Armstrong introduced FM radio. Sponsors started to develop and control US radio programs. Is there truly nothing new in this world? And the other thing was that Monopoly the game was invented. A game where making money is the name of the game, and where luck and chance seem to play as big a part as strategy and tactics. But this guy takes a different view. His name is Bjørn Halvard Knapskog. Apologies to any Norwegians who wish to correct my pronunciation. He is the Monopoly World Champion, which means he's either very lucky or he has a better, more informed game plan than the normal Monopoly player. And that's what we want to focus on. How to make smarter, more informed, better returning decisions and create better strategies from that. So, what has Monopoly got to do with media? Well, the world of media is certainly about money, and the top 5 media agencies will indeed invest on behalf of their clients $130 billion this year. That is equivalent to the gross domestic product of a country like Hungary or Peru or New Zealand. So we are handling a lot of money. But we're doing this in a world where there's increasing uncertainty. It's becoming more complex. Now let's have an illustration of this uncertainty. We conducted a survey of over 50 advertisers. 90% of the advertisers polled said they will spend the same or more over the coming year on social media and online display. Yet 1 in 3 said they are not confident about the contribution these elements will make to their business. So they're going to invest in something where there's a high degree of uncertainty. All of them, however, said that ROI, understanding the return, was the most important thing. So, is media monopoly just a game of chance, or are there some key strategies for success? We believe that this is about having strategies for success, that those strategies need to be applied equally to earned and paid media. You need to look at the whole, not just the individual elements. And we're just going to take 4 examples of where this plays out. Just 4 examples of the media monopoly game that we need to win. And I'm helped in this by 4 of my colleagues, 1 for each of the examples. Alan Walker, Dietmar Kruse, Federico Aperio, and Ben Lloyd from Echo. So without further ado, let me pass the microphone, the stand, to Alan Walker.
Andrew, thank you very much. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to part 2 of this secret disco session. It's quite exciting holding this handheld. It feels like auditioning for JYP. Don't worry, I'm not going to sing. I'm Alan Walker of Ebiquity's advertising intelligence practice. Let's start with the fact. You cannot play Monopoly successfully without understanding what your competitors are doing. Now, clearly, on a Monopoly board, it's very easy to get an overview, but imagine that you're playing the game without knowing what anyone else is doing. Not knowing where they are, not knowing where they're going, not knowing what they're buying, not knowing how they're developing. It is, undoubtedly, a great deal more of a challenge, even for the wonderful Björn, whose name, as far as we know, is not yet permitted on a Scrabble board. But let's leave the game for a moment and switch to let's switch to the real world, it says here, or what passes for the real world here in Montreux. Most of us, in the rush and hurry of everyday business, work without knowing what other people are doing, because there is no time, there is no budget, somebody else will cover it. Well, of course, somebody else will cover it. Successful marketers check what their competitors are saying to their customers. And here's an example from one of our clients at Ebiquity, Ellie Torrey, who is the communications manager at Honda Motor Europe.
Firstly, we use the service to actually evaluate and to benchmark our work. So we do a review of what our competitors are doing, and this helps us to ensure that from a creative perspective, the work we produce is going to have cut through, but we also then ensure that the creative works as hard as it can with our sort of limited media spend. So although we'll never have the higher share of spend, what we can ensure is that with the media we buy, we're being efficient and effective by having very strong creative work. Internally, what we then see is with our brand metrics, our work is actually punching above its weight, and we're delivering with high awareness levels and high desirability levels that we wouldn't expect to see with the sort of share of spend that we have.
It's not just about checking what the competition are doing, though. It's also a very good idea, as many of you will know, to keep a very sharp eye on what your own local offices are doing as well. Here's more.
The way we're structured at Honda through Europe is centrally we look after brand and product launch, and this is from a production and also a media planning perspective. We then have 29 countries who each create their own local tactical and promotional work and plan and place their media. So we use the advertising intelligence service to actually check to see what our countries are doing. It allows us to then ensure that the work that they're producing is on brand and will have cut through amongst competitors, but also to see actually whether the sort of media space that they bought is going to be effective in delivering the tactical or promotional message at that time.
Staying on top of what's happening in your markets in that case, whether it's 2 markets or 29 or 52 markets around the world, helps you stay informed, and it makes sure that you stay ahead of the game. But too much information is just as much of a problem, if not more, than no information at all. So in this evidently 24/7, Sunday to Sunday, twittering, blog-filled, frankly data-soaked world, it is vital to concentrate on what is most important. Vital to work with an independent partner of your choice who understands your aims and helps you to see what you need to know and show it to you when you need to know it. Just the hotels, for example, on this board that you need to be aware of. When you're working with information and data which is flowing to you from all over Europe, possibly even all over the world, you need help. You need to be able to understand the ads by having them translated. You need analysis. You need commentary. You need context. You need insight. Not just to see what is being communicated, but to understand why and to what end. This is not just ad monitoring. This is ad intelligence. It's advertising insight. Playing the game and keeping a view, possibly any moment, of the whole board, understanding where to focus your attention and when to focus it there. So in this game of media monopoly that we're all playing this morning, advertising intelligence is one of the keys to a winning performance, improving your marcoms and helping to achieve better returns. So I will now hand this baton, and hopefully no technical problems, to Dietmar Kruse from our German office, who will talk a little more about what's being spent, how it's being spent, and the topic of media value. Dietmar.
Thank you, Alan. I don't know how you experienced the first session this morning, but I found it very interesting, and I found amazing, especially to hear Ben talking about how often you can get it wrong before you land a big hit as an author. Now, I thought during that session, I don't have that chance to try so often, and I believe that's probably why you are here, because you probably also feel I don't have this chance to get it wrong so often. That's why we provide information. Now, imagine playing this game Monopoly, knowing what your competitors do. That's what Alan just showed us, how you can make sure you know what your competition is doing. However, you didn't know what the prices are on the board. You didn't know what each street costs, and you didn't know what your competitors pay for it. So it might happen that your competitor only pays 50% of what you pay, or even less. Now, that is what in fact happens in everyday media life monopoly. That's what makes it so interesting, and that's maybe what fascinates us in this game as well. That's where an auditor can give a lot of information. That's where it depends very much on having a benchmarking opportunity, having big pools, solid pools to benchmark your campaigns and your performance against it. However, we believe it's not only about price, and you're not winning Monopoly by saving your way to the end, by not spending money, but you're winning Monopoly by gaining a lot of money from the other people. In real media life again, by building brand equity, by buying higher quality in media, to make your communication more effective, to build your brand more effectively than your competition. That's what we can help. We don't only benchmark cost, we go very much into the qualitative area and quality, very different areas. That's what's important as a media auditor to do, to look at targeting, to look at reach building, to go into communication quality of program environments. For example, in Germany, there's a recent initiative by one of the big sales houses to measure program communication quality on advertising effectiveness. And we've just programmed our systems to benchmark that for our clients. So that is important, getting the equation of cost and quality right. But then going on, not only benchmarking in hindsight, looking at the rearview mirror is important. You also need to expect from a good auditor to give you some actionable advice for the future, to answer the question of, so what, how can I improve my campaigns for the future? That's what a good auditor should also bring you. Advice for how to improve your future media plans in terms of how can I improve my buying, how do I improve my planning, how do I improve my media strategy in terms of having a more effective media mix, a better budget distribution. That's where a media auditor can really help you win this game of real-life media monopoly. And to be even more forward-looking now, I'll hand over to my colleague Federica Aperio, who will tell you more about digital media.
Thanks, Dietmar. Clearly, I'm the digital one with my notes on an iPad. We've talked about a need for understanding how the price you pay for media compares to the rest of the market and to your competitors. The digital world's beginning to challenge those notions. Digital seemingly become fragmented. But the reality is it should never have been considered as a single advertising medium in the first place. The digital platform is an enabler for communication and conversation and comes in many shapes and forms. Like Monopoly, digital is now multi-platform. It's playable on your computer, on your smartphone, on your tablet, and in the not too distant future, probably on your TV too. But people still think of digital as different. They pigeonhole it as a niche. Over the years, we've seen the growth of specialist agencies, search, social media, and mobile. But in fact, the applicable principles are just the same as in traditional advertising. The concern is that advertisers are losing sight of those principles as they feel that they need to jump on the bandwagon of the latest digital application, needing to be in a space that might not actually be pertinent to them, just because that's what their competitors seem to be doing or that's what their board has directed. Yes, paid media might seem more complicated with talk of behavioural targeting, database profiling, retargeting, demand-side platforms, real-time bidding, all things that I'm sure you'll be hearing more about in the sessions over the coming days. But these are just a means to an end. The key to a successful digital strategy is translating your business KPIs to measurable and quantifiable digital targets. Whether implementing a direct response or a brand strategy, measuring performance such as attribution or reputation is essential to being able to value the various digital media and understand how your digital budget is best invested. At a macro level, benefits are clear. Building a better understanding of the value of your digital investment, the value digital investment delivers alongside the rest of your marketing mix. At a micro level, the benefits are equally important. In a medium where paid-for advertising, both search and display, is becoming increasingly driven by dynamic trading platforms, we're reaching a point where price is far more variable, dependent on demand through the growth of real-time bidding and data-driven delivery decisions. To draw on the monopoly analogy, if someone passes on the opportunity to buy a street on their turn, that street's then put up for auction with the remaining players. In order for you to be able to make the right decision on the price you're prepared to pay for an advertising opportunity in real or near real time, it's vital that you understand the value of that impression or click in order to establish the acceptable price for you to pay based on what you know works for you and the returns that you're going to get from it, not necessarily comparing it to the rest of the marketplace. The market's moving away from a last-click methodology for attribution and starting to emulate the more traditional path to purchase modelling, but this time in real time, which is what digital platforms enable. And earned media is no different. You're going to hear a lot at this conference about social media, 1 million tweets here, several 100,000 Facebook followers there, but these are just numbers and not necessarily representative of the value that social media delivers. The most balanced observers recognise that much of this volume is just that, volume. The real skill is measuring and evaluating what's important and how this is impacting on your brand and on your business. It's about understanding how you're currently managing your performance and your reputation, and more importantly, how you can manage it better moving forward. And to talk specifically about reputation management, I'm going to hand over to Ben Lloyd from Echo.
Thanks, Federica, and morning, everybody. I do find this quite strange. I was standing at the back just a minute ago, and I couldn't hear what was going on here, but people were nodding at the back. I'm finding it very strange. But anyway, let's crack on. We've heard quite a lot already in this session about the importance of paid-for media. But when we look at reputation measurement, we have to look at how paid-for and earned media come together to help push the reputation forward. Because if they're working at odds with each other, we're not going to get the desired reputational effect. So this is where we're looking at bringing the two together. Many people might see reputation issues as a bad roll of the dice or a bit of bad luck, but at Echo, our experience is very different to that. Reputation isn't a matter of chance or indeed community chess. And as we all know, the impact of a negative reputation can be dramatic. We can all think of our own examples. Recently, we can think of BP, Goldman Sachs, Toyota, any financial institution you might care to mention in the last couple of years. But then you can think of Nike, Gap, and just last week, Sony PlayStation. Okay, so bad reputation doesn't always mean going to jail. That's a bit extreme. But in Enron's case, it did. And it linked back to the reputations of other companies that were associated with it as well. So it's, let's not take it too seriously, but let's consider the context. In most cases, the impact of damaged reputation is more a case of go back 3 spaces. What's the impact on the bottom line? Not only the year the reputation gets a hit, but the following years. What's the impact on shareholder value and potential investors perceiving the brand as a viable and going concern? But perhaps most importantly as well, what about the minds of customers? We all know how quickly bad news spreads on the internet. Take the example of Dave Carroll. He was a musician who was travelling with United Airlines from O'Hare to Nebraska when they damaged his prized £3,500 guitar. Now, not only was he so annoyed that United wouldn't take responsibility for the broken guitar, but he was so disappointed with the way that he was treated from a customer service perspective, he created and produced and posted this video online, which in no time at all was up to the hundreds of thousands, and now in a little under 2 years is up to 10.5 million views on YouTube. And people are still commenting on this today. Now, it did 3 things. One, it made United take the issue seriously, and I'm really pleased that Dave has got now his full recompense, but it just goes to show how a little issue can be blown much bigger by how people want to respond to it. 2, the second issue was the fact that it's now become a case study for examples of reputation on social media. And the third one is, and credit to United for this, they're now using this video for their customer service training for new employees to demonstrate to them how important customer service is in managing their reputation. So the trick is, how do you build your reputation and use it to drive the business forward? At Echo, we specialise in measuring earned media and reputation. We're very proud of our award-winning research and our insight, which we help to use to develop our clients' communication strategies. One of such is McDonald's. We measure their proactive communications to see how they're building the reputation through the media profile and and helping to reshape the minds of consumers' reputations or consumers' perceptions of McDonald's reputation. We also go further by looking at emerging and developing stories that could impact upon McDonald's reputation. And by focusing on these, we take a longer-term view and allow McDonald's to be on the front foot to plan their strategies accordingly, rather than reacting when it could be too late, and we've all seen examples of that. So in summing up, it's fair to say that everywhere you turn, people are telling you how important reputation is and that its importance is growing. But in order to evaluate your reputation, you need to take your earned and paid-for media together to see how they are working in harmony to push your reputation on. Add to this future-focused research to identify potential threats in the future, and you start to have a model where you can measure and monitor your reputation over time. I'll pass you back to Andrew.
Okay. Goodbye. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain. We have now started our descent back into the media conference. And apologies for some of the in-flight entertainment bugs that we had to iron out during the course of the presentation. But thank you for sticking with us in this interesting format. Monopoly the game is only a game. If you lose, if you're playing at home, well, you lose. You throw a few things around the house, that's it. And even if you win and you're the world champion, all you get is a trophy. Media monopoly is real life. We've tried to show, not with loads of data, because I think there's going to be enough data in this conference. It's about not being data rich and information poor. It's about using data to define the right strategies, smarter strategies. And we've used just 4 examples to illustrate that there are many different aspects which need to be tracked, measured and managed if you are to win this real life game. Because leaving it to chance, to the roll of the dice, is too much of a chance, especially in today's faster moving environment. The difference between winning and losing isn't a trophy, it's money, and it's not monopoly money. Our view at Ebiquity is that it is all about better strategies to deliver better ROI. All the elements must work together. Advertising, intelligence and insight, media auditing, media spend figures, costs and value, digital in all of its forms and understanding digital in all of its forms, and then enhancing reputation, Ben's points about earned and paid media. And all of this needs to be considered not in isolation but as part of a whole which combined will help improve sales and also help keep costs under control. Because if you drive sales and control costs at the most fundamental level, you are driving ROI. And ROI is the top priority for today's marketers. It's been said before, not just at this conference, and as I mentioned earlier, in our survey, 100% of advertisers still agree with that. So ask yourself whether you are leaving anything to chance, because if you are, the chances are you'll lose the game of media monopoly and you'll lose the ROI game. Ben Masrick got lucky when he wrote his book. Our advice to you is don't leave it to chance. Thank you.